All right, hello, hello, hello. How's it going? It's Captain here. Starting a new career build series for 2026. I know it's a couple weeks early, but this is the last full week of December. Kind of want to start something new. I was kind of figuring out how to end the last career build series so I could start this one. What I think I'm going to start doing is sometimes I like starting over fresh, sometimes I don't. So what I've done is kind of carried forward a little bit of the money from the last career build series. That way I don't have to start fresh and we can use some of the builds I've been making. I also wanted to change bases and start a little bit more advanced isn't the right word, a little bit more further down the road. So we're going to start at Spy Cakes. This is going to give us access to the train depot at Spy Cakes. It's going to give us access to a larger workbench. And then right down the road, we have an airfield we can buy. So we can get right into land, sea, and air. And then also, I'd like to get into coal mining as a viable means of making some money. And so we're going to be able to do that with some of the new vehicles I've been making, and it kind of inspired me to make some more vehicles. So we're just up here, top of Spy Cakes. Get myself a little bit of extra cash, if I can remember how to bring it up. $100,000. That's from the last save, so I've got some extra money in there. We already have a boat, but I'm not going to worry about it. What I kind of want to focus on here is we have Draymore here, we have Spy Cakes, we have the ability to spawn a full-size sea vessel. Part of the issue I was kind of thinking of running into the end of the last one was it didn't have the ability to spawn larger aircraft and boats, and so we're kind of making some artificially small stuff, and I kind of want to get away from that. The other thing, too, is I've been working on a lot of mining equipment again. Mining's really got me back in the game. Alistair's challenge helped to get me back into mining, and then I've got a ton of ideas for mining equipment, some multiplayer mining. So what I thought would be kind of cool is if we start the base here, we can spawn a lot of stuff out of the Spy Cakes train bays here, and then we can go up and do some coal mining to start making some money. We could also spawn some sea vehicles and do some regular missions if we want, and then buy Draymore and do some air stuff. But what we can also do is we'll go up and we'll do some mining of coal to start out with my new front end loader I made and the new dump truck that I made. And we'll bring it down and we'll deposit it in Terminal Spy Cakes. If you look there, you have coal at 100. We can deposit coal into the base. And because we can do that, we can just despawn, respawn, and get some coal down in the base, and then spawn a train or trucks, and we can come over here to Komodo and we can sell it, and that will be a good way to make some money. We also have fish market right there, and that will allow us to get into some fishing if we want some other sources of revenue, so we don't have to just do missions. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, gave myself a little bit extra money so we can get some vehicles out into the world. Still have a coal. That's awesome. I left the cover screen up. So, sorry about that. Jesus. Good way to start. But anyway, map-wise here, we're at Spy Cakes. And where we can buy Draymore here. We're going to mine up in the mine, and then we'll bring it over here, and we will sell it over at Komodo. So give us a little bit more of an industrial feel for starting out. So let's go ahead, and we'll start right away here. And we'll grab the front end loader. Been working on some other stuff, but worked on this dump truck. We're going to bring that into the world, but let's go ahead and get the loader that I made for Alistair's challenge. That's going to be 42. And we'll go ahead and jump in here. How's it going there, Oliver? How are you? Alright, we'll start mining. This should give us some good access to capital right off the bat. And I've never done a kind of a mining start before, so this will be fun. Mining's my favorite thing to do in game, that and transporting cargo. And so it'll be nice to get some mining in. Thank you much. How's it going there, Jay? How are ya? I will turn on third person so you guys just makes it a little bit better to be able to make so you guys can see some stuff. But this will be nice and easy to get into mining. You know, I was trying to think of multiplayer mining. It was kind of a pain in the ass before doing it because we'd have to bring everything out to the aluminum mines. And then if we want to do some multiplayer mining at some point, this is kind of the easiest for them. Let's see if this fits in the tunnel. It may or may not. May have to go the long way. Hopefully not. Let's go ahead and turn some headlights on here. Up, shit. We're already going to tip over here. Alright, there we go. It's actually not the end of the world, and it's kind of a cool thing. One of the things I was going to do is I was going to actually thinking of spending today building more vehicles, but I want to be able to use some of my vehicles, and so one of the things I wanted to do is this tunnel is important for speed of mining, and so this kind of gives me a reason to go and make some low top mining vehicles. So yep, you can tell this is going to be too tall, so that's not getting in there, and that's fine. We'll take the long way around. So I'll bring up some pictures of some cat coal mining equipment later, or you know, underground mining equipment. There's a bunch of underground mining equipment I'd like to make, and I was gonna almost start the video doing that. They have loaders that are very low down to the ground. They're not very tall, and that allows you to be able to go into tunnels and stuff. So I'd like to build that. I'd like to convert my new dump truck into a lower height dump truck, and that way we can get through that tunnel. So that gives us, you know, the benefit of having some of these challenges is you have to engineer around them. Yeah, so this will be a good kind of demonstration of getting started on mining. This is probably the easiest place to mine is the coal here, because you can pretty much have 2 steps: mine it and sell it, and that's all you really need to do. And so, and they're pretty close to one another here, so it makes it pretty easy. That's why we're starting the base here, so you'll kind of see some of that. Get rid of headlights. But that was kind of a happy accident, having it where I can't get in that tunnel, because you know, that challenge to overcome means I have to engineer some shorter loaders and some shorter dump trucks. And I'll bring up some pictures of some of the mining equipment that they use, some of these you know, underground mining stuff. I'm literally on my phone while I'm driving. So we're going to have to drive up to the top of the mine. So this is, again, this is one of the things that the game shines at, is by having some challenges, it tests your ingenuity in coming up with solutions to challenges. And so, for example, if one of the challenges here is, you know, it's a long way to drive around the mine, you want to build something that's not so tall, that makes it easier to get in and out of the mine. Well, that's that tunnel. And so then you build more equipment that can get in and out of the tunnel. So I do have some dump trucks that will definitely fit in that tunnel. So it's going to take me a little while to get my my loader up to the top, and so that makes me want to get or make some shorter loaders. You know, some people get aggravated by these challenges the game throws you. That's kind of the point, right? There's a reason why they have many different models of front-end loaders IRL, is because it challenges you to you know, they serve different purposes, right? You have some that are for open pit mining, some for underground mining, some for, you know, other operations like snow removal and stuff like that. Oh, thank you there, Daniel. Good to see you, Daniel. I'm going to try to read chat as much as I can without crashing here. Are you gonna need a train or a hopper car? Yeah. Eventually, I'll train it over there, or drive it by truck. Probably train. Um, and I already have those cars built, so I'm just gonna use some of the stuff I built. Yep. CBS has been back slowly. This is gonna be 2026. I'm already starting 2026, so. Carried over some of the money from the last one. I wanted to start somewhere different, and I wanted to focus on kind of a different money-making scheme here, more industrial, at least for the start. You know, we'll do some regular missions. We'll do some regular fishing and stuff too, but really definitely wanted to kind of start industrially here and kind of show the viability of an industrial money-making scheme. Gotta be careful coming up over the top here. But definitely, you know, this will give me a purpose to make some underground mining equipment like this. I built this vehicle for above ground open pit mining, and so I'll build one for kind of underground. You know, if you guys were watching the workshop series when I built the dump truck that I just built, it didn't take that long to build it because I pretty much take all the microcontrollers out of this and put it in there, and I'll do the same thing with a dump truck. The dump truck will be even easier because all I'll do is drop the top down a little bit, move the cab so it can get lower, and then the loader, I'll pretty much build a new body for the loader. But the cab and all of the cab, the bucket, all the microcontrollers will be the same. Even probably take the wheels and the drive systems and everything. So it'll be pretty easy and cheap to move on. All right, good. So the tunnel is right there. That's the tunnel we could have gone through if we're a little bit lower. All right, so we're gonna start mining. May kill some environmental sounds. It's very windy and annoying up here. I'm just going to go to 2. Alright, we're going to go in there because like that one patch isn't worth focusing on, but I just wanted to hit it at least perfunctorily. Turn our headlights on going in. We'll turn our work lights on. You know, this is a cool area in this mine. If you look, you can see there's coal on the walls. And so having something with a long reach that you can actually reach up there is kind of cool. So it gives you kind of a purpose to build a bunch of different vehicles, which is where the game really shines. You know, it's coming up with engineering solutions for all the different problems. Especially with the new flexi belts, I think you're going to see a lot of people getting back into mining. Because that really solves some of the problems, makes things a lot less annoying. And I wouldn't say annoying is the right word for it. I would say it makes it so people can build more of the things they've wanted to build. Alright, so we're picking up some coal here. Trying to find, I think there's some on the other side here. Might be a patch there, I can't tell. Yeah, there's a little patch there. But you can see there's some on the wall, so all this stuff makes me want to build more and more vehicles. And that's where the game really shines, is, you know, it's a building game after all. You know, you see problem, you come up with a solution, you think of some cool vehicles that would fit the bill, you come up with some of your own ideas, take some from reality. I'll answer some chat on my way to the patch here. I should probably wait till I fill up to get back to chat here. Alright, so notice the RPM. Let's make sure we're full here. Alright, so we're full, and we can tell we're full because in first gear, we're up to 800. That means we're full, right? Because the drill automatically shuts off when we're full. So we're good here. We're going to go ahead and I'll leave it running. It doesn't burn that much fuel. Alright, we're going to leave this running. We can verify again that it's full. 108. Yep, we're full. I'm going to turn on no clipping. And I'm just going to fly us over there. And we'll grab the next vehicle. The dump truck might fit in there. It may not. So we'll see. Alright, let me catch up in the chat here. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Yeah, necessity breeds innovation. It's that's the thing, is you need something in game. I do hate Twitch with a passion. I really do. Just constant bots. It really is. All right, they're. Yeah, that's good advice. You know, mining is pretty simple. It's drill it, put it in some sort of storage device. This is 17,000. Okay, good. Got plenty of money here. Let me make sure I don't have this loaded up with coal. I should. All right, there we go. All right, good. We're empty. Turn the music down a little bit. I don't know how loud it is for you guys, but it's kind of blasting in my ears. So I built this the last couple of days. It came together really fast. You can watch the workshop episodes for that. It's pretty much got all the systems that the, or a lot of the systems that the front end loader has. So it was really quick and easy to put together. You know, so to make this for a coal mine, you'd move the cab forward and down so it sits lower, and you would lower the top of the dump body, and that's literally all you'd do. So we're gonna try the tunnel. I don't know if it will work or not. We'll see. Hopefully we can get this through, because like it's not bad having to take the loader up there every once in a while. This is a pain in the ass not being able to get through the tunnel with the dump truck. Yeah, it's just too tall. Shit. All right. This is gonna make it longer, so that's fine. That will actually give us some reason to go build a new vehicle. We got a camera there, so we can see behind us. I'm trying to decide, do I switch out? I want to use this vehicle, but it's the speed we're doing. We're doing 20. Speed's kind of tough. I might switch to, I'm definitely going to switch to the, I'll give myself money if I need it. Nah, it's alright. I'll bring it back. We'll just drive back quickly. I'm going to grab the, oh, shit. Don't tip over, you prick. Alright. I wasn't paying attention. One more time. Give me one more. Alright, we're just going to bring it back. That was me not paying attention. Where is it? We're going to switch vehicles up. Just kind of relearning the map a little bit here. All right, we're gonna bring up the Mac R. Let me make sure there's no coal in here. All right, good. We take the Mac R. The Mac R is faster. It's gonna be better for going up on the road there. I just want to see if it would fit in that tunnel, and the answer is no. All right, here we go. We'll be able to go a lot faster with the Mac R. Yeah, it's, you know, this vehicle is designed to go on road, and those are off road, so this will allow us to go much faster. You know, we'll be able to go 60 miles an hour. Where, oh, I slammed on the brakes way too hard there. Like, we're already, you know, a lot faster than that was, so. We don't have the capacity that has, but we'll be able to do a lot. Be much quicker now. And then I have tractors with tractors and trailers that I can use as well. So this will give us a wide variety of vehicles we can play with too, which is fun. Again, you know, you get all your toys. You want to play with your toys, so. I'd like to get that mining dump truck in, but it's going to take too long to drive back and forth. You know, especially by myself. So I will make some of those mining dump trucks and loaders. We'll do that in a workshop at some point. Just convert those out. But like, I'm doing a good 35 miles an hour through here, so much faster to use this. I gotta be real careful. I like to go in third person on this because I can't see over this hill, and then it's bad news if you run off the side there. So here we go. All right. So this has a pretty good capacity, so we should be able to get quite a bit of, quite a few dumps of the loader in here before we need to go back and dump into the base. So the loader holds 108. This should hold, what is it, 675. Yeah, I'm a little bit close there. See about that. That should be good there. Yeah, Lego kits are pretty good for build ideas. So I'm gonna do a quick test here. I'm curious how many I'm getting per pass. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna set the brake here real quick. There we go. I want to see what's in there. Currently have 43 in there, which is, you know, approaching halfway. And what I'm gonna do is we're at 43, so I'm gonna see what I get on one pass. Alright, so let's see what we got on one pass. So 43 was already in there, and then we've got 63, so 20 per pass, not too bad. About 5-6 passes gets us to a full. So expect to be at like 83 now. If it's 20 per pass, it's not going to be perfectly accurate, that measurement, but just kind of ballparking it. Alright, so I'm going to turn around and hit that patch again. So we might be able to fill up on this pass. Yep, we're full. Alright. I just want to make sure I'm within reach. So there's 106 or 216 in the truck. I think there's some around the corner here. Yeah, there's some right here. some over there. Kind of coming up with a plan to reduce, you know, kind of be more efficient. Oh, this is a big patch here. Yeah, we can stay on the coal real long here. Yeah, this will be fun doing some multiplayer mining underground here. Alright, there we go, we're full. I think this has the right amount of time. Like, you want to have plenty of time to drill, and then when you kind of get sick of driving... Oh, shit. Alright, we're going to tip over here a second. I got to fix this. I'm going to dump out of my bucket here. Damn it. I just dumped a ton of ore there. Not paying attention. There we go, that sucks. Alright. Damn it. Alright. Should have been more careful driving. Alright. Problem is, you know, I talked about this when I was building this, is you don't want to be driving around with your bucket up, and I did what I said don't do, is drive around with your bucket up. So, that was not smart of me. I try to fix this. We just dumped all this coal too, which sucks. Yeah, I gotta be careful because it was how it slopes down, and I had the bucket up too high, and that caused tip over because the ore does weigh something, so it was very top heavy. With that, we gotta be careful of that. Let's try to get this tip back over. I'm losing all this coal. It's not worth me picking it up, and it's gone anyway. I wish the devs would add it so that we could say how long we wanted that to stay, because, like, I've got a good enough PC. I could have it stay a long time. It'd be fine. Alright, let's see. We gotta tip this over here. Oh, I need the drop axle down here. Where's the drop axle? Alright, there we go. I really don't want to have to get my crane out because the crane is very expensive. I'm also annoyed that I lost that coal. There we go. Alright, we're up. Alright, let's not do that again. Let's move the truck down where it's off this hill. Because I'm going uphill and then turning, which is making it very top heavy. So we gotta kind of watch the terrain here. So let's move the truck to somewhere a little bit more reasonable. We lost 108 there, so that sucks, but whatever. Grand scheme of things, it's not that much. Alright, let's put this on flat ground so that this is less of a tipping hazard here. That's good there. Alright. I've never tipped over a front end loader in real life, but we've had some situations where we've gotten them stuck, and they're a piece of cake to get unstuck because you can use the bucket to lift the vehicle up. So, like, we've gotten the front wheels stuck in holes before that were like big ass holes, and you can use the bucket to get you out because you can pick up the vehicle with the bucket. So. Up, I didn't shift down. This is good because I don't have to keep hitting the same patch, I can drive around. Got this long patch here, which is good. Yeah, but that's one thing they teach you when you're driving front end loaders is don't lift your bucket up when it's got heavy stuff in the bucket. And like, don't be driving around with your bucket up high, especially at high speed, and we gotta watch the hills. And that's exactly what I did. Alright, so we're full. You can see the revs are up even though we're in drilling gears, so we can go dump. So now, you wanna keep your bucket nice and low when you're full, like I'm doing right now. And ideally, if you can line up with the dump truck before you lift your arms, that's best. That's what I started rushing it. And now you want to lift when you're going straight. And now you can see it's going to be a lot less tippy. Just a couple more inches there. I think we're good there. Yeah, we're good there. If objects, items, lifetime could be set, yeah. See, that was the thing that I would have loved them to do, is set a, make it so you can select how long, you know, for example, the coal will stay in the world, or the ore, let's put it that way. How long the ore stays in the world before it disappears. Now, this is the problem, is I get why the devs do this stuff. They do it because, you know, somebody feels that even though they have a terrible PC, they somehow are owed the ability to play as well as somebody with a good PC. I get it. It's not right, but I get it. And so the devs don't want somebody, you know, to see, you know, somebody like playing like I'm playing without any struggles and then be like, oh, I can do that. And then they have struggles when they try it in their game. Which I don't think's really, you know, fair, right? You can't really control for that. Like, somebody has a terrible PC, they're not going to get the experience of somebody with a good PC. They have to go out and get a PC that's not terrible, frankly. And so, like, you know, that's why, for example, the devs put in the ability to switch from high to low physics. And the problem is, like, half the problems caused in game are because people have their physics set to low. And they do that because they don't have a PC that can handle the game. And so the benefit of that is it allows people with not a great PC to play the game, but the drawback is, you know, the game starts on auto, so they get this janky experience, and it reflects poorly on the game when it's not really, you know, the way the game's intended to play. The game's intended to be played on high. You know, the difference between high physics and low physics, like a lot of the stuff I do, like cranes and stuff like that, are not really possible on low physics. And I think the devs should just lock it at high physics at this point and be like, hey, sorry, this is what the game is. But I see why they don't want to do that, because they don't want to alienate their player base, and they already had it that way. So somebody who's been able to play the game on low, you know, you don't want to take that ability to play, period, away from them. So I get it. It's just like, it reflects poorly on the game when, like, for example, people have, you know, cranes that are very spongy and don't respond well, and if they would put the game on high, they would be fine. But, you know, they don't have the PC for it, frankly. Just make sure we're there. Could go just a touch further forward. There we go. All right. Alright, I'm gonna grab some of the cat stew. I want to show you some of the things I want to build while this is dumping. So Cat has a bunch of cool underground mining equipment. Their website's just good because it's easy to show the stuff off, but they had a better website. I'll see some if I can get some. Try to find that. Okay, here it is. So, like, this is something I want to build. It's you notice it's a loader, and the cab is very low, and it's much longer, and that way it can go underground. It also has a single arm, which is neat. So I'd like to build one of these. That way you can drive through that tunnel. So for example, like this one is bigger and taller, and that's great for every other application. But when you're trying to get in the coal mine specifically, where you need a really low roof, you would have to use one of these if you want to get in and out of there quickly. So that would be one element of that. And then they also have dump trucks that work for that. That are, you know, essentially it's like the dump truck I built, but it has a lower roof, so you can get in and out a little bit more easily. So like here's one of the dump trucks. You can see, so it's the cab and the engine sit ahead of the wheels, so you can get it really low to the ground. So I want to build a version of what I have already that's like this height, so that we can get in and out of that tunnel, and that will reduce the amount of time to get back and forth. You know, so anyways, on that topic, we're kind of talking about where I understand why the devs do this, but again, if you... it's tough, because they don't want to alienate too many people, make it so they can't play the game at all. But it's part of the issues, like we were talking about. So the ore used to disappear very, very quickly. So when it spilled on the ground there, it was very quick and it was gone. So you had like 0 time to be able to pick it up. And so people complained, and myself one of them. And so the devs extended the amount of time that the ore would stay there, I think, to 60 seconds. And so that's better, but and they did it because each piece of ore adds a lot of resources, because the game has to model it and do shadows and everything else, and actually like do the voxels, or not the voxels, the triangles or whatever for the each piece of ore. So if you dump 10,000 pieces of ore on the ground, it's going to take a lot of processing power. And so it would bring somebody with a terrible PC, or say multiplayer where you have a lot of people in one thing and then you're trying to send it over the internet, it would bring everybody down to a crawl. And so they made it so it was 60 seconds. I would like to have a slider, for example, like if I could do 5 minutes, for example, I've built vehicles in this where it dumps the ore directly in a standard bucket and it just holds it, and you can dump the pieces. And if you could set it to say 5 minutes, well, when I'm by myself, I don't have to worry about, you know, with a good PC, I don't have to worry about the game going to a crawl, because it's not 10 people all over the map doing this, it's just me. And so I think that would be a good compromise, have the devs put a slider on it. But I don't know if that's even possible. Like, I'm certainly no coder. I can't tell you if that's possible. You know, and is it the best use of their time? Probably not, you know. Alright, we're full. Filling up quickly because those patches are nice and long, so this is a good run. Again, why I like a manual is first gear is limited to a certain speed because I hit my RPS limit, and it's only going to go so fast because it's just multiplication, right? So I get nervous dumping without looking. Let's see where we're at so far. Currently we have 545. So 675. So one more fill, and we'll go take we'll go dump this. You know, and I get it, like, it must be annoying for the developers, like, somebody says, like, it's an easy throwaway thing for me to say, oh, it must be easy, they could just easily add this. That statement's got to be the most frustrating thing to game developers, is, like, because, like, again, they know their business, I know my business, you know, and it'll be like somebody who, you know, tells me how they should fly an airplane, and they've never touched an airplane in their life. It's pretty silly. And so it's, you know, I'm sure it's a lot harder than, you know, it's definitely harder to do it than it is for me to say, like, oh, they could just add a slider. You know, they could probably tell me 900 reasons why that doesn't work, or why that's, like, a ton of effort, or why that's not going to be feasible, you know, and it's an easy throwaway line for me to do it. So I try to, every time somebody says something like that, or I'm about to say something like that, try to think about it, like, I bet you it's a hell of a lot harder than I'm making it out to be, you know. And realize that, you know what, it's probably a lot harder than me just saying, oh, they could just add a slider. Yeah, that, you know, might, one, not be possible at all. In the engine, it might not be possible for them to do it without huge sacrifices that's not worth it, you know. And then the other problem you get into is, you know, people are their own worst enemies, where what's going to happen when somebody gets in a multiplayer, or starts a multiplayer server or a multiplayer game, somebody has the ore set to expire in 5 minutes, and the game crawls to a stop, and now the game looks bad because the game's crawling to a stop, and people say, oh, multiplayer sucks. Well, it wasn't really the multiplayer that sucked, it was the person chose the wrong options for multiplayer. They should have turned the ore value down so that it would work, you know. But, you know, you get that problem too, where people don't set up the server right, and then they blame the devs for it instead of blaming the person who set up the server options, you know. So it's I'm sure, you know, that's why I try to, like, play a little devil's advocate for the developers sometimes, because they always get shit on, you know, for this sort of thing. All right, good. So that is pretty much full. So let's go ahead and park and shut this off. And we'll go dump this. Alright, hazards coming off. Work lights coming off. Headlights coming off. Power down. Alright, good. Jump in the Mac R here. So put the drop axle down. Have to be powered for the drop axle? Probably. How's it going, Rasmus? Good to see you. I'll catch up and chat in a second here. What's up with the drop axle? There we go. Alright, there we go. We got our drop axle down. Up, shit, something's going on here. What the hell was that? I don't know what gear I was in. That's neutral, that's first, alright. You know, in real life, you'd just stall the engine out. In game here, it's like... just goes. So this is the benefit, like I talk about why manual transmissions are really good for like trucks and construction vehicles and stuff. Like right now, I'm limited by my RPS to how fast I can go. I have to shift up to go faster. You know, and so I can control my speed by my transmission. That was important IRL when I was driving trucks is, you know, you can downshift and then go down a hill and it pretty much caps out where you're going to be. Did we try taking this through the tunnel? I thought this goes through the tunnel. I drove around, but I think this fits through the tunnel. We'll see. This tunnel's got a really brutal approach angle here. I think this one does fit in the tunnel. They've been doing a great job with updates lately, and I'd love to see them revisit, you know, some of the game elements. Like, you know, they've been adding some great, like, really some fantastic parts. Like, some of the new parts they added is what made that front end loader usable. Because I would have had to hide a motor inside of the bucket, and it was just too much. Like, you need to pretty much put a medium-sized motor in that bucket to make it work. And there's no way in hell I'd be able to fit that motor in that bucket. I just can't do it because it has to be at the backside of the drill. I could probably do it if I lost a little bit of storage. But now with the new oh shit, don't you get turned sideways in here, you prick. All right. I could be screwed up here. I gotta fix this here. Stand by, I gotta get unscrewed here. There we go, I'm alright now. Can't see in third person for shit, I'll tell you that much. I gotta go up to the right to get out of here. Yeah, so it would have been huge. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, that's the first time I've done that with a front end loader, is put the drill in the bucket, is because they added the parts with the new small pivots that allow you to put torque through there. So one of the pivots is actually the power pivot on the bucket. The other one does nothing but transfers the torque from the engine. There we go. Alright, good. We're out. You know, so something like that was a huge benefit to us adding those parts. So they've been doing a really great job adding parts, so hopefully they keep that up. I would love to see them revisit like some of the industrial frontier stuff and make that a little bit better. Like for example, one thing they could do is like right now, you know, you make steel and you just sell it. It would be cool if you could make steel and sell it if you wanted. Or you can then turn steel into I-beams, and then you can sell the I-beams for more money. And so it's a step progression. If you want to keep doing it, you can keep doing it. That's what's really cool. Like, they used to do that in Farming Sim. Or they still do it in Farming Sim. That was a lot of fun in Farming Sim. Alright, we're going to do something here. We're going to save. Alright, now if we look at the base, we have 100 coal. When I despawn this, we should get all the coal that's in the back here into the base because coal is a fuel source, so it can store in the base. So we have so we should be at 756 when I despawn this. $756, perfect. All right, now we're gonna respawn this and just make sure the coal hoppers are done. All right, good. All right, let's catch up on some chat. Hello, hello. Trippa, how are you? And Rasmus, hello. So it's worth $2 per ore, I guess. So right there, that's about 1,400. You know, like for example, gold right now, there's no point in doing gold. Gold, like it doesn't make enough money, and it's a multi-step process, which I think is great. But at the end of the day, I think you should be able to, like for example, you know, let's say you have a mission to deliver. This happened a lot in Elite Dangerous. Was you would get a thing, deliver 4,000 units of food to X, Y, or Z, right? And so you would just do as many trips as it required to get that delivered. And so, for example, you could have a mission pop up in game that says, "Hey, deliver 100 units of fully refined gold." I forget what it's called. Um, to the Arctic, right? So that'd be a great mission, right? And so you would go and you would have to mine the gold and then get it to 100 units and then transport that 100 units of gold up to the Arctic. And so that would be a cool mission. You'd want to make sure that it was worth enough money for your time. Right now, it's not worth the time, and that's part of the problem where they could easily fix that. Like, this is one that they literally could easily fix. They're just changing numbers in the code where they say, okay, this stage of gold is worth X. And then you just say, okay, well, it takes you 5 times as long to get to that stage of gold. It needs to be worth at least 5 times the amount of money that, say, iron is. If it takes twice as long as it takes you to do steel, it needs to be worth at least twice what steel's worth. You know, and so that's something they need to do where they make it, you know, worth your while. Because right now, like, gold takes a long time to do, and it's not worth it financially. So it's like, you know, it's fine if you want to do it for fun, but it's not actually going to make you really any money in game. I'm very curious what else they're gonna, you know, they've been adding a lot of things from, especially the Q&As, which makes sense. And, you know, PTOs, I know a bunch of us had asked for PTOs. We pretty much have those parts now, which is awesome. I'm curious what the next ones are gonna do. Last December, they put out the roadmap for 2025, and they followed that pretty well. So I'm excited to see what the roadmap for 2026 is. Alright, that's full. Pretty much takes one pass to fill the bucket, which is pretty good. Alistair's got another challenge going while we kind of wait for the video. Quick Christmas challenge. I'm probably not going to participate in that. That's just not... I don't have the time for it. It's really not up my alley, but I don't really have the time for it. And then, but it's good. It'll be a... Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Shit. I knew I was going to spill. I gotta go get that up. We're not throwing coal in the ground here. Alright, there we go. I gotta back up a little bit. Too close. Alright, there we go. Alright. Every little bit of coal counts. That alarm just tells me my door is open with the park and brake off. Alright, that's better. Alright, good. Rasmus, was it Rasmus or I think it was Rasmus? Was it your idea you brought up where it'd be cool to have the pistons? You could start them in either the closed, middle, or fully extended position. That'd be fantastic. Again, it's easy to say. I don't know how hard it is to code that sort of thing, but that would be an awesome thing to have. We're going to need the refueling truck here shortly. especially for multiplayer, this is something that I really like, is the, you know, by having a lot of jobs, like somebody's gonna refuel stuff. All right, we're full again. So we definitely learned from our mistake of tipping the sucker over is like, again, don't be driving with a full bucket with it tilted, because, you know, raise the center of gravity, and then because you're arcing the turn, you're really looking for, you're really looking to tip over. Yeah, it was Rasmus. But I think that would be a cool idea for, the other thing too is they've shown with, you know, it's fantastic, the new belt stuff they've added. They've added belts for ammo, which people have been asking for, and they added it for coal, or for ducting, right? Imagine if you could do hydraulics like that. And so what it would do is, let's say, here, we'll do a quick little talkie about it. Let me get 2560 by 1440. Like, I would love it if they could do it with a rope mechanic. That would be awesome. So, let's say, for example, you have a hydraulic, right? And so, you draw a triangle. Can I do a... Yeah, I can do a... All right, so here's your triangle, right, that you're trying to achieve for your hydraulic, right? And so you're essentially trying to draw a line between here and here, right? So that's where you're trying to draw the line from here and here. All right. And so what you would do is you would do a rope connection, right? So you would add a hydraulic thing where you say, okay, hydraulic, you want it there and you want it there, right? And what it would do is it would tell you the distance, right? And so it'd say, okay, the distance between the left side and the right side is whatever it is, right? So the distance is X, right? And so you're trying to get, the game would figure out what the distance to X is, right? And this is where it'd be a little bit complicated. You'd have to tell it, okay, is the piston extended, is the piston retracted, or is the piston in the middle? Those would probably be your only three options, right? So let's say this is the extended position, right? So what it would do is it would say, okay, well, 50% of this is going to be cylinder, and this is going to be piston up here. So the rest of it here is going to be piston. And that way, because it's fully extended, now this piston here can retreat into the cylinder. And so when it retreats in, right, it will be there. And that will be fully extended. If you said it was fully retracted, what the game would do is say, it would say, okay, well, the piston, or the cylinder is, yeah, the piston is here, the cylinder rather, is there, and now the piston will start fully retracted like so. You know, and so that would then say, that would then give you a longer stroke. So say, for example, now your hydraulics would be able to go all the way out here when fully extended. So that'd be a cool way to do it. So you could draw it in the retracted position, you could draw it in the fully extended position, or you could draw it in an intermediary position where it would essentially give you 50-50. So if you started in the middle position, it's going to give you 50% more retraction and 50% more extension. So for example, like my loader, the loader is in its fully retracted position. That would give you the full width of the cylinder for piston stroke, essentially. That would be kind of a cool idea. An OSHA inspector, yeah, that'd be fun. Make sure we're all wearing our safety equipment. Oh, that's funny. Here, you actually reminded me. I was gonna do this, but I forgot to do it. Let's do this real quick. It was funny. I was actually thinking of this earlier. Daniel had a good idea with the OSHA inspector car. Or it's this one. There we go. All right, now we're set for safety here. Seeing that I'm already over here, we're gonna do this. This was for Alistair's challenge. I never got it finished. One of his many challenges. Glad Alistair's been doing the challenges. Make sure this is full. Yeah, okay. What's park and brake? F5 rather? 5. So this is going to be a thirsty business running some of these vehicles, and so up there you can buy fuel, so that's another reason I wanted to use this base. But it's funny to me using the mini truck as the refueling vehicle for all these huge vehicles. Because it's so tiny compared to them, I kind of like the optics of it. These are some cool things the devs did too with like putting a tunnel here. Again, like, you know, as long as you have a small enough vehicle, you can get in and out of the tunnel. You can have a shortcut, but it has to be a small vehicle, so you can't bring your biggest stuff in there. You know, it gives a different feel that, you know, like you have the big open pit iron mine, and that has a different, you know, kind of feel and appeal of, you know, that's big, huge vehicles. Same thing with aluminum, and then, you know, doing this type of mining, you know, you need some tighter constraints. Instead of, like, having no reason to build any more vehicles, you have a reason to build some, you know, other stuff. Like, for example, I want to build a larger excavator, a larger front end loader, which will easily fit down this tunnel, and it will make mining quicker. It will also give a sense of progression. Like, we'll be able to put some bigger equipment down here, but you have to drive it the long way around. You can't get it through the tunnel. So there's a, you know, there's a plus and there's a minus. The plus being each pass is going to get more and more coal or ore, but it's going to take longer to get it there to the site. I'll fill these up. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it there, Baymaz. How are you? That Maz like the Soviet trucks? What are your thoughts, Rasmus, on my idea there about drawing them? I think that would be neat. I don't know how tall it is. The Mac will fit through there, but it's a pain in the ass. I have to stay to the right. The big tunnel is huge in here. Like, you could fit anything in the big tunnel. Like, I don't think I can get the... I definitely can't get the rope shovel in here, but get everything else in here. I definitely have to park this somewhere where I'm not going to run over it, because it will run over that like it's nothing. That's good enough for now. But, like, this is the stuff that's fun to me, like, to make it so that I have to, like, oh, I gotta go refill my vehicle. Alright, well, make a cute little mini truck that has a fuel tank so that I have something to go refill vehicles with, you know? Here, let's take a picture with this and the other two. I always like taking pictures with the mini truck in the way, because it, in the scene, because it's just kind of cool and tiny. All right, there we go. Alright, let's shut off no clip and teleport for now. Just so if I get missions that I want to do, they're closer by. So they're not way the hell out in the middle of nowhere. One thing I would absolutely love the devs to do for a mining edition is to make one-by-one mining parts. So, for example, or mining is not necessarily the right word, but for example, make a one-by-one drill, make one-by-one ducting, because that would allow us to, for example, like as you can see, if you don't know how this works, you can watch the videos I made when I was building this, but essentially the drill can be like one block away from the ore and still drill. So you can have the drill inside the bucket, like Daniel and I were talking about earlier, where like you can actually have the ore fall in the bucket, and the bucket will hold it fine, it's just that it disappears after 60 seconds. So I'd have to quickly rush and drill this in like 60 seconds to dump it in the truck. And so, anyway, so kind of the point of this is if you had one-by-one drills, I could have, say, I don't know, maybe 5 one-by-one drills, and it would be a lot more... It would be a lot, like, for example, I could have skid steers doing this, where I would use one-by-one ducts and one-by-one hoppers to hold the ore, and I'd use one-by-one drill, and I could have a skid steer that could do this as well. You could also, maybe I'd put 5 drills in this instead of one bigger drill, you know, and so I think that would be cool. The ability to use smaller drills would give you more flexibility. And the same thing with having small ducts and small hoppers gives you more flexibility as well, where you can, you know, like hide more ducting in smaller areas, and just allows you to scale all the way down to a smaller scale. I think would be cool. And then even having a drill that a person could hold, and as you drill, it goes into your inventory. So you have whatever it is. Like you put it in one of your 2x slots, and then if you had each of these empty slots would automatically fill with ore as it drills, and then you know, once you're full, you just start dropping the ore on the ground, so you'd stop drilling and then go dump it. So it would allow you, even if you wanted to go there. I think that might be, I don't say a waste of time, but it wouldn't have probably too many users to have a personal drill because it would be too slow and people wouldn't want to run back and forth. But it would be kind of a cool idea. I think having the 1x1 would make it so you could have some really tiny vehicles. You know, you could do skid steers. Like for example, I was doing. I put a picture up on Alistair's Discord and on mine of a new bucket for my excavator where I hit a drill in there. So I'm trying to make it so I can have an excavator that would drill and have a drill hidden in the bucket. And so if you did 1x1 drills and ducts, you could have some really interesting designs and be able to do things like excavators with buckets and all manner of different type of drilling apparatus. There we go. I'm going to dump this. I'm going to quickly flip my laundry whilst this is dumping. All right. Let's see. Let me read. I'm going to check up some chat here. 100% make 1x1 mining and 1x1 jets. Yeah, those are the two things I probably like the most. Is 1x1 turbines for jets would be fantastic because you can make some really small stuff, and then like most of what I do with like a lot of jet turbine stuff I use the torque output to do ducted fans. And so you could do small jets 1x1. You'd be able to then torque them up to do turboprops, and you'd be able to use ducted fans to make turbo fans. And I think 1x1 jets would be fantastic. The ability to do APUs would be really great. Let me just quickly, I want to check what we're full. I'm going to do probably 2 loads with the truck, and then we'll go sell. And maybe we'll build something. Yeah, it's always kind of a, I always kind of hem and haw how I want to do these career build series. Like, part of the problem starting over every time, which I wasn't going to do again, especially because I don't have as much playing time as I used to. It's kind of like get back into the, oh crap, I got to build builds. And then it's like, eventually I'm like, well, I want to play with some of the other stuff I have, the other builds I have. And so kind of doing this where I'm using the money that I made last time, push it forward, change the base, kind of change how we're going to make some money on this one. We'll still do some of the other stuff, but and I'd like to get to some of the bigger vehicles sooner, and I'm not going to have too much time to be able to like build a lot of huge vehicles again, but still get some of the smaller vehicles built up. Where before I thought it was a good idea, like if I'm going to build a new vehicle in the career game like I was, where I'd improve it every time, but that's also kind of tough to do. So I've been kind of going back to the workshop series, and like I'll build a vehicle in the workshop series and then use it in the career series. So the career series is more gameplay and less like me building. You want to watch building, you can watch workshop. If you want to see it being used in career, watch the career series. So always try and work on that balance. All right, there we go. We're full again. The other thing too is these ore deposits will regrow over time. So as I go and have to like go back and do fueling and all this other stuff, they're growing while I'm doing other things. So kind of gives me a ready supply. Oh, don't tip over, you prick. All right, there we go. It is pretty tippy with that bucket up. All right, I think that's pretty good. Yep, that's close. That's around the money. So this should be 5 something. We'll probably do at least 1 more bucket. Yes, small boiler size, some small steam parts would be fantastic, because we already have the 1x1, or not 1x1, but the 1 size steam pistons. It would be nice to have smaller boilers where we could do some like small little steam skiffs and boats and stuff. It just makes it so that it's very huge to have anything steam related. Again, the big thing too is like when they have a Q&A, show up and ask questions. And like, questions like, when are you going to make multiplayer better? Meh, is not productive or helpful at all, frankly. But like, hey, this is a part that, would be cool to have in game, and like show how that part would make the game cooler. That's something that's they can do, because like, they could spend 6 months, quote-unquote, making multiplayer better, and I wouldn't care. Like, I would much rather have new parts, because that's just how I play the game. I do understand other people would like, quote-unquote, multiplayer to be better. But then at some point, too, you gotta say, you gotta have a good internet connection, you gotta have a good PC. Some people expect their potato laptop on really terrible internet to be able to play well on multiplayer on a public server where there's no rules, and that's just never going to happen. But they've been doing a great job of putting new parts in. I would love to see them do another DLC. I know some people cry every time they do a DLC, like, Oh my god, the $7 you're asking for me, this is gonna bankrupt me. If you can't pay $7 for a hobby that you like to keep the hobby going, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, that's what these DLCs have costed, like $10 full price, $7 on sale. That's pretty damn cheap. Like, even if you don't use it, it's like, to support the game, like, go buy it, you know? It's like, it's $7, man. Can't get lunch for $7. But it keeps the game alive, you know, it keeps the hobby alive, you know. Any other hobby, you gotta pay a hell of a lot more money to work on your hobby, you know? You know, people knit, and it costs them a hell of a lot more than $7 to get some yarn to go knit something, you know? But for as far as DLC, I would love to see like a farming and forestry DLC. That would be great. Um, you know, because essentially now with the belts for ducts, all they really need to do is make a combine head, and essentially it's a drill, right? And the drill is looks like a combine head. You know, they'd have to pick if they wanted it to be a corn head or a wheat head, essentially. But you know, just make it look like that, and make them, you know, say 1x3 segments or 3x3 segments, and you can stack them together to make a, you know, a combine head as wide as you want. And then same thing, you use the ducting and the belts to go through the back of the combine, spit it out into hoppers we already have, so it allows them to use a lot of the parts that we already have in game, which saves them a lot of resources, you know. It makes it much more doable. Alright, let's go ahead and, again, we'll do a smart thing, we'll save. Because if balls this up, we don't want to lose it. Yeah, it's, you know, it's one of the reasons why I kind of get annoyed when people cry about the money of games. Is like, yes, like a triple A game that costs $80, that's like, it's buggy as shit, and it's you know, it has a player base for a couple weeks, and then it really peters off. Or it's like how Battlefield used to be. It'd take them a year to get the game to be really up to where it was should have been on release. I get that. That's annoying, but like, some of these smaller studio games, it's like, dude, the game is like $20. Like, if you can't afford $20, I get it. That sucks. But again, things cost money. You got to pay for them. You know, this is somebody's job. You got to pay for it, man. You can't just like, can't expect to have things and not ever pay for them. You know. And to complain about $7, it's like, what, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? It's like, we get a ton of free updates. We've gotten free updates now for years. I don't think it's unreasonable for the devs to give us another DLC and ask us for $10 to have some optional content that, you know, some people will be thrilled to pay for and other people will not. And guess what? They can miss that content. If it doesn't interest them, and that funds the regular updates that might fix or change something that is of interest to you, you know? But I think farming and forestry would be really cool. And I still don't get it. Like, people ask, like, oh, when are they going to add more search and rescue? I'm like, I just don't understand what they mean. Like, there's only so many things you can do with search and rescue. You can search for people and rescue them. Like, maybe somebody falls down a well and you have to have a little bucket thing that you, or crane, you rappel down the well and get somebody. That would be cool. That's a little scenery item they could add. That would be cool. I get that. But, like, I asked some of these people, like, what do you mean by add more search and rescue? Like, be specific. What do you want? And they've got nothing. It's like, unless you can give like concrete, solid examples of what you would like, I don't know what they mean. All right, let's save it again. All right, so we should be at like 1400, somewhere in the neighborhood of there. All right, 1410 for coal. Yeah, good. This is something they added a while ago, which is the ability to derail stuff, and that was something that a lot of us had asked for. We used to be able to do this, and then we couldn't, and so I kind of want to play with that for a second. I'm just gonna throw it on here, rough and tumble here. But that was a feature that we'd been asking for a while, was the ability to have a button to essentially derail stuff, so that we could make trucks and stuff that could go on the rails. See if this is attached. I don't know. We're gonna play with it. All right, good. It looks like we're adhered to the rails. Like, this is an awesome feature that we'd been asking for a while, that derail button. They added it recently. And it's like, you can add these trucks now that can go on. Like, I remember when they took that feature away, you used to have to twist them. And so that was something that I know I had asked for it. A bunch of other people had asked for it. It certainly wasn't just my idea. But the to have a toggle Boolean connection where you press it and it lets you derail cars. That's awesome. You know, like some people, they wanted the ability to be able to put their train cars on boats and then bring them across the ocean, then load them onto the tracks. You can do that now. Oh, there's a there's a helicopter. I hear it. I don't know where it is. Where is it? Is it in the water? Might be. It's in the water. we'll see how dumping works with this, with having those wheels in the back. But it would be very cool to make a, rework a truck or make a truck that can go on the rails. That'd be fun. Oh, let's see where this is going. Okay, good. We're going the right place. Yeah, secret jet engine. Yeah, custom boiler would be cool. Stuff like that. Like, for example, have a heating element inside, and then, yeah, so a custom boiler would be really cool. Let's say you had a one by one, there's a present right there, a one by one heating element, right? And it heats up water, and if the water gets up, just kind of like distilling of oil, if the water gets up to 100 degrees, it starts creating steam, and so you need to have enough space inside of that container for steam to come out, or a port for the steam to come out. You turn on the heating element, it uses electricity, and it heats up the water into steam, and then you can make your own boiler. And maybe, let's say, you can make it probably the smallest container would be two spaces, because you would need to have the heating element and you'd need to have a fluid port to be able to get the water out or the steam out. And then you cover that with blocks, so it'd be, I don't know, maybe what, four by three. You could probably get it into a small enough space, and then of course you get bigger from there. But 4 by 3, I think, is a reasonable size and doable for kind of the smallest possible spot, space. We will see if I have a collision problem here in a moment. All right, let's say let's not save this. Let's look at our money. 33,051. All right, so in order to make this work, we got to go into neutral. All right, so that's neutral. All right, and then we have to go dump body, gear neutral, switch on, and then we need to rev up. And so this works like a real dump body would. You're pumping hydraulic fluid, and so you need to be able to get the pressure up to be able to dump it. Keep pressing the wrong button there. I gotta deal with this. All right, good. See what we got left in there. Okay, good. All right, so that's a good proof of concept. Let's go ahead and bring this back to the base. I just want to play with that idea. Ah, there we go. Let's see. That cost me, ooh, 91. That's expensive. It's a D2 cost 29. Okay. See if I remember how to run this. Let's see. Handbrake applied, okay. Forget which one it was. I think it's AD, actually. There it is. It's AD. Okay. There we go. All right. AD. Trying to remember how to get this to run. Okay. Oh, it's in neutral. That's why. Okay. It's in neutral. There we go. Alright, good. And this has air brakes, simulated air brakes, so. Coal side dump. Coal side dump. Oh, this is a really old one. I think one of the side dumps actually also does bottom dump. I gotta look though. Yeah, nope. That's okay. That's the one with the wiener there on it. Let's see. That's cool too. A bunch of these we don't have to do anymore because of the update. This is annoying, the search on this one here. Let's find DE. I saw one of them that I need to find. Alright, T-Bis. There we go. Alright. T-Bis mineral car, that's what we're looking for. This one's a side dump. Let's see, does it do bottom dump too? It does not. Alright. This is the multi-dump. Okay, that's the sides. That one's a bottom dump. Alright. Like if we had 1x1 ducts, like say for example any open space here, we could also attach them maybe if they could do it right, and then increase the capacities even more. But we could do more interesting shapes. I gotta try to remember how all this shit works that I made, so bear with me on that. Alright, let's see. What's the capacity on this one? Alright, I got 648 coal in there. That's good. So, alright. See what we got left in the base. Okay, good. So 87 left after this. Did I lose a bunch of coal? I must have. I don't know. Oh, I did because I teleported it. That's fine. Let's do this. Let's load this save. Here, hopefully that doesn't cause any problems. Take the D2 out. Alright, so that was showing 756. Should be showing 14. 14, okay, good. Now, handbrake's off. Alright, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm trying to remember how to dump this, is the thing. Cannot recall how to dump this, so let's go into the editor. Gotta look. Okay, I gotta put something to dump that. I'll put this for now. Okay. And I'm going to swipe these all up, and I'm going to save one of these that's loaded. Because this takes a while to go through all these and load them up. Alright, there we go. Alright, 648, 648. That leaves us with 114 in the base. That's good. Alright, good. Make sure these are connected. Okay. That's good. So when I made TBIS, TBIS is essentially a system where it uses actual air pressure for all the airlines. And that's, again, people complain about the pressurization update. If you have some imagination and you use the pressurization update, you can make some really fantastic things like I did, where you have the ability to make actual pneumatic systems. So what it does, it takes the actual air pressure and it it makes it actually work. So as the air pressure goes from the locomotive through the cars, that's actually what actuates the brakes. So you can make some cool systems. You just kind of have to use your imagination. So it's like when people are like, oh, they should get rid of the pressurization update. It's like, no, man, there's some awesome things you can do with it. You just have to have some imagination. Okay. But yeah, we got to kind of bang these into each other to make them work. So let me bang it a little bit here. There we go. All right. This should be attached now. They are perfect. All right, very good. So those are all attached now. So what's happening is the locomotive's making air pressure. It's actually physically going through the line here. It's going into tanks, and there's a pressure reading on those tanks. And it is actually what's controlling the brakes. And so that's how the brakes are being controlled, is by air pressure. So again, some cool stuff you can do with the pressurization update. I gotta go check the brakes, make sure they're not stuck on somehow. They look like they're on at the moment. I had a system for this. I gotta check this. I might have this all screwed up. I gotta check them. I don't know where I got to on these, so I gotta actually check them. But the brakes are definitely stuck on at the moment, so I gotta look at this. That's the problem, is I don't know where I've left off. Alright, brakes are 100%. Let's see. Trying to find the tank. Alright, here we go. Alright, so it's definitely the bottom one we want connected. Air valves on, air valves on. Excuse me. Air valves on, air valves on. The hell did I leave off on this is the question. Shit. Trying to think what the hell's going on here. Make sure I have it shut off in the tractor. It might be only the D6 that I got up to this level, but I gotta look. I think T-bis is on this though. Independent brake, train brake is off. Let's cycle the train brake before I give up on this and try to see what I did for code. Because I had this working. I don't know if it was working on this particular model, but let's see. Because the brake should be on when it's disconnected from air, and then when you put air pressure in it, it releases the brakes. So. Okay, that should definitely have the brakes on. Then brakes should be off with that. Alright, let me see. All right, let's see what's up with this. All right, there's the brakes. All right, here is the T-bis, train brake, standard atmosphero. Let me see. All right, train connector right there. All right, so I think the hand valve might be on. I gotta look at that though. See if this one's working. I think this one might be working. Let's see. Make sure we didn't lose any capacity. Now we're good. All right. Because I don't know what level each one of these were built to, where if they're ready or not. Steam is the devil's plaything. We all know that. All right. All right, those are connected. On. All right, there we go. This one's working. The other one just wasn't up to snuff, so I gotta fix this one. All right, so that's it's just the other one was older model. I like this too because I can manually connect all these connection points, so that's kind of fun. All right, so what I'm going to do is this one's a side dump, but I'm going to make it so this also does middle dump too. Oh, it already has it. Did I make this work already? I might have this where it should middle dump. I got to look at where the controller is for that though. Let's see. Oh, perfect. This already has bottomed up set up. That's gorgeous. All right. What a smart man. See, that is there, and then what's this one? Okay, that's good. And then that's side dump. All right, good. That's awesome. All right. All right, good. I've got this all set up. This is ready to go. All right. See what this one's called. T-TIS mineral side dump. All right. Or T-BIS mineral side dump. All right. All right, this is good to go. This one has side dump, which you need at the steel plant, and this also will have bottom dump for all the bottom stuff. That's good. All right, we're good to go. And this one has all of the brake controllers hooked up correctly, so be fun to get back into trains. I wish Derail Valley would have more updates. I get it, like they do bigger updates and they're doing like an annual update, but makes the game very stale for me. That's one thing, like when people like, oh, Stormworks should just like wait a year and like release something when they have it. I completely disagree because it's save this real quick. because it's like when something new comes out, like one of the things that got me back to playing Stormworks was they had they added a bunch of those new parts, and so it's like if you did it too far up, a field from one another update wise, people just move on, and eventually they get busy playing another game, they never come back, and so it's like I think it's better to have it kind of how Stormworks does it, where every month or so, or it used to be more frequent, but you get updates, keeps you interested. All right, I'll catch up with chat once we get moving here. All right, so brakes on trains and trucks are fail-safe. They are on when they're depressurized, and the benefit of that is, imagine if you put a train car on a hill, if it so those should be at 100% right because it has no path to the cab. All right, now we're giving it a path to the cab, right? But this valve is off, so the brake still should be on. And as soon as I give it a path, actual physical air is going through the system and pressurizing it. There is actual air being made in there and going through into pressure tanks here, and the pressure of the actual tanks is being read. The pressure here in these tanks is actually being read. And then when the tank from the reservoir, right, see the pressure building in the reservoir, it physically goes from this tank into this tank, and that is what activates the brakes. And so that's all based off the pressure system. All right, good. We're good to go. All right, we'll catch up with some chat here in a second. Let's see where we are. Heat conducting pipe would be interesting, yep. No, I get it. It's just custom. Sometimes the custom stuff I don't like just because it gets. I talked about it enough. It's just like it makes it so that it's like you gotta. I don't know. Games too. You gotta have like all these different parts to play X, Y, and Z, and I do just like kind of having a custom thing. It makes it a little bit easier to get in and out, but I'm not against it. But it's fun to get back into some train stuff. That's cool. So if you see what I named these, this is a multi-dump MD 567 because the capacity is 567. And it's multi-dump because it can dump both out the sides and down below. Which the side dump is for the steel base. I think it would be beneficial for the game for the devs to go back and to work on Industrial Frontier, to expand it and to also fix some of the things like the problem with the dump area. There's no reason why they can't do multiple dump areas, and so the ability to have, like, for example, a spot in the steel mill where you can bottom dump, and a spot in the steel mill where you can side dump. That would be great. And then they need to fix the dead ends on the tracks. Like, we've talked about this plenty of times, but like, instead of having you have to back one car in, fill it up, pull the car out, put in another car the ability to have your train go under the fill up and then drop it in until that car is full. You pull up the train so you keep moving. It makes it a little bit more streamlined and realistic. Where are we at here with the... I like this little loco, it's fun. Yeah, loops for being able to spin the cars around would be great. Like, the devs have put a lot of stuff in place, and like people used to go in the game files and read like hidden files in there. Like they had a bunch of space stuff hidden for a long time. There's a lot of hidden stuff in here that I don't even know if I'd say it's hidden at this point, but like there's a lot of stuff they put in the game, like this big rail yard. Now, yes, you can go in here with an add-on, build your own add-ons. I think that's part of what they were trying to do is have you build your own stuff. But it also gives them space for expansion where they can go in and add stuff like if you look in, where is it? Here at the propellant factory, there is a bunch of like, there's a dump area and there's a drop. And so it wouldn't surprise me if that's built like that for expansion. Like, say you want to actually build, like, make this a propellant factory that works, you could do that. Like, one thing I'd like to see them do is you have Karn Industries factory, and it's right down the street, right down the tracks from where the gold deposit, where you sell all your metals at Screech's train yard. And so you could really make an actual factory area here where you bring in steel and iron and aluminum and you make, say, a motor. And the motor is an actual physical thing that can be transported. And so a place might need a motor. Well, what you have to do is you have to get the aluminum, the steel, all those parts. You have to put it in the factory and build the motor, and then the motor will spawn into the game, and you can pick it up and put it on a train car, put it in an airplane, and like say you made it have to go to the Arctic. Well, you have to have something that could make it to the Arctic, you know. Yeah, but it'd be fun to get back into derail if they add some things. Like, they added some cool stuff, but not stuff that's necessarily interests me. Like, they added parts you could put on there, and like, little gadgets and stuff. That's not really super interesting to me. Uncouple the engine. What? Push it? Why would I do that? I'm just gonna take extra time. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant right now. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's the whole point of the loop, is to turn around and reconnect locos. Yeah, I get that. I thought you were meaning like now. My DE6, so this is the other thing I like, is having vehicles with different purposes. My DE6 is for long range travel. This is just a shifter, for a yard shifter, so that's kind of why, like, this is taking so long, is this is not really meant to be going on this long journey. This is meant for staying in the yard. And the DE6, I just don't have the money to spawn the DE6. That costs 90 grand, so I'm gonna jump and get this present. I'm bones, sucker. There we go. Make that a little bit more worth my while. Alright, I'll be right back. Yeah, I was talking when I first started streaming today about I really want to build some underground mining equipment that can go through that tunnel. So I'll kind of bring up some of the pictures I was looking at earlier. They have some cool stuff that so like these are some of the underground mining trucks that I want to build. So essentially what I do is take the mining truck I just built and slide everything forward and lower it so that I can fit in and out of that tunnel. And then they have front loaders, so I want to make a new front loader. And those are pretty cool. If I can find it. Like, here's a good pick. If I can get that blown up. Can't blow it up, but like you can see here, there's that front loader with the underground mining truck, and it's much squatter, and it fits inside those underground tunnels, so that would be cool to make. Gotta get thumbnail going for later. Eagerly awaiting Alistair's video for the challenge. Hopefully, as long as I get in the video, I'll be happy. I'll be good. Oh, I see your OSHA truck there, Daniel. It's very cool. I'll bring that up so you can see it. There's the OSHA truck. We're gonna need one of those. Very cool. I like it. Like me an OSHA truck. Where are they being unfriendly to new players? Like, the other thing too is like, what do you mean by unfriendly? Are they actively being jerks, or are they like being like, give us a workshop link? You know, like, what do you mean by unfriendly? Like, give me an example of how they're being unfriendly. Yeah, like, there are definitely some jerks. It depends on where you go, but the other thing too is like, you know, you get a lot of new players who don't help themselves either by, for example, like they'll just say my modular engine's not working. I don't know why. That's not a good help request either. Like a good help request would be like, hey, my modular engine's not working. This is the tutorial I followed. Here's a workshop link. Here are a bunch of pictures. This is what I'm trying to do. This is how this is how I have it set up and how you're supposed to start my engine. Because especially a lot of new players, they don't know why, like they don't know how to ask for help because they're new to the game too, which can be frustrating sometimes. So of course you shouldn't be rude to new players, but it's also like sometimes new players come in and you have to play the 20 question game. So like sometimes I'll go on Reddit and somebody will be like, my modular engine's not working, and that's literally all they'll put. And so usually what I'll put is like, I'll put workshop link question mark. And so you got to put a workshop link. I can probably figure out your problem in 2 seconds, or I'll post a link to my tutorial series so you can learn how to make a modular engine. But like you'll get people that post a couple pictures and the pictures aren't helpful in any way, shape, or form. So, and then somebody will ask like 10 questions. They'll like, what is your RPS? What kind of microcontroller you have? What is your AFR? What is your X, Y, and Z? And then they'll be like, you know, post some pictures and they'll answer one question, 6 RPS. And you're like, I asked you 10 questions that I needed to be able to help solve your problem. And so eventually it does get frustrating sometimes because people will be like, you'll ask them those 5 questions you need. What's your RPS? What's your AFR value? Is your exhaust connected? Can you show me some pictures of the build? Or hopefully a workshop link. And they'll answer one question, 6 RPS. Well, that doesn't help because I need the other information too. So then I have to be like, can you answer the other questions? And so then some people see that as hostile. You're like, I asked you 6 questions, you answered one question, I asked you to answer the other questions, and they took that as hostile. So it depends sometimes. VC, what is VC? I don't know what VC is. I don't know. You don't have any data to say the majority of the community is unfriendly towards the newer player base. And then you say VC, you know, so you know, majority I would say is hyperbole. You know, if you go to like Alistair's community, go to my community, uh, you know, there's a lot of people there willing to help. But again, you have a voice chat. I wouldn't go to voice chat for that. Like, you, you know, you're just gonna get some random jackass in there doing it. You know, I would go and you know, Reddit's not too bad, but again, you might have to wait for somebody to get on there and check it. If you go in the Discords, again, it's who's available, so you might have somebody who just like can't really help you all that much because they might not know much themselves. The best thing to do is always like, you know, the better you make your asking for help thread, the better the help you're going to get. That's kind of universal. And so, for example, if you especially come with a workshop link is the best thing you can do. You know, don't be afraid somebody's going to steal your build. If it's not running and you're brand new, the likelihood that somebody is going to take your build because, you know, their builds are probably 10 times more advanced. I wouldn't worry about them trying to, you know, quote unquote, steal your build. And so I would say, you know, if you can come in with a workshop link, that's a huge help. If you can specifically like have some things like, okay, my module engine isn't running, I followed this tutorial, or I just tried to figure it out myself, then like what I would do right off the bat is like if you said, oh, I'm a new player and I just tried to figure out module engines myself, I wouldn't even like, I'm not going to walk you through it. I don't have the time to walk you through it, but what I can do is say, here's my modular engine tutorial series, follow the tutorial series and you'll have a running module engine, because that's what's going to happen. That's probably what I would do in that situation. And if you follow the tutorial, you'll have a working module engine. Then if you come back and you say, hey, I followed the tutorial, this is the tutorial I followed, it's not running, well, it's my tutorial, I know what's in there. I can then look through the workshop link and I can see, oh, you forgot to connect this part. That's all you need to do and you'll be up and running. That makes it so much easier to help people, because literally, like, it could take somebody hours to teach you in voice how to build something. That's not a good environment. That's why I would say if you want to learn how to do something, watch a tutorial video, put in the effort, try to figure it out, follow a tutorial video, and then ask specific questions based on that video, and then include a workshop link. Somebody will be able to look your build and maybe you just forgot to connect one node, or you put the wrong number in, or something simple and easy, and they can usually fix it from there, you know. But the better you make asking for help, the better the help you're going to get. I find that's another problem, is it's just like sometimes the asking for help threads are pretty bad because they just don't really show you where they got the information, and it's making it really tough to be able to try to help you. I gotta back up. Okay. You know, the other thing too is do a search for the thing you're looking for too. I see that a hell of a lot, is people like literally you'll get like 5 posts on Reddit in the same week of all asking the exact same thing. It's like, search for the answer first. Like, you know, hey, I'm having this problem with my engine. I've used this tutorial. I searched on Reddit to see if, or searched XYZ to see if I could find a solution. I tried doing this, and this. I'm still stumped. And so you've shown that you're putting the effort in yourself to get the thing worked on. Because you see a lot of people, they're not putting the effort in to fix something, and then that's frustrating because, you know, you get somebody essentially trying to have to do it for you, which is tough. Let's see if we're close here. We're gonna come up a little bit. This is when multiplayer would be nice. Oh, you son of a bitch. This is gonna suck. Trying to get this on the point here. Alright, we're close. Alright. I don't think we moved at all on that one. No. We're close, though. Oh, the handbrake's back on. That's not helpful. I think that's good there. Let's dump a little and see. That should dump. All right, let's save it real fast. All right, so we want to do the bottom. All right, we got a couple there. I gotta move back just a touch. I accidentally put the handbrake on when I was on the steering wheel, and that made it so the brakes are on when I was trying to do shit, so that wasn't helpful. Alright, that's good. Yeah, I would go through some of my tutorials, Cody. That's going to help you. You know, I've got a lot of tutorials about a lot of different things. You got to put the time in, you know, put the effort in, build for a while, get some stuff going, and come in with specific questions. Like, I would go to the Discords. My Discord's linked here. If you go into the Partners tab of my Discord, you get Alistair's Discord. You can ask for help there. And I think the Discords are better than, the, you know, the... kind of the communal. Oh shit! Look at all that dropped up there. Damn it! I'm losing a ton. God damn it! I gotta fix that. All right, crap. That's not good. Ah, damn it! I'm losing a ton of coal. Not that the coal's gonna make me much money anyway, but I'd rather not lose money. Ah, it's all over the place. Alright, that's something to fix. I'll put that on my to-do list here and fix that up. You know, but I would say probably voice channels are going to be the worst for getting help, frankly. Because, like, you've got somebody who now has to give you 100% of their, you know, their time to then walk you through something. That's going to be very, very laborious for that person. And it's, you know, if they're not interested in doing it, they shouldn't start the process. But, like, having pointed, like, hey, my module engine is not working, this is the tutorial I followed, this, and this, they can usually go in and be like, oh, your composite's not connected, or, oh, okay, this is the tutorial you followed, you know, these are the things that you have wrong. They can go through the workshop page. That's why, like, and give somebody some time to digest it. Like, that's why I recommend, like, posting it either in help section of somebody's Discord like mine, or putting it on Reddit, because the person can, on their own time, open it up in game, look through it, try to figure out what's going on with it, where it's a hell of a lot harder to do it live. Alright, I gotta fix this when we get back. Put that on my to-do list. The old iterative design process of fixing all the problems with my builds. One of the reasons why I started doing tutorials is like I'd want to help people out, but you know, you can't sit there with them for 3 hours and figure it out. It's too much, and it's too much to expect somebody to do that. So you can go through a tutorial, and if you have to rewatch it 3 times and you have to like keep pausing it and going through it, you can do that, and you could spend as the viewer 3 hours with a tutorial learning the thing. And I don't have to sit there for 3 hours with you to teach you the thing. That's huge, because I can go play the game and enjoy it, and I can still be helpful, you know, and that's an important part of it too. And so, you know, and there are a lot of games that are easy mode and hold people's hands and are just like, they're easy because they don't actually make you think, and so it's like, I've heard this is how Trailmakers is. I know how Space Engineers was, where like you put a battery on something, everything is powered. That's not this game. You have to make the connections, and so because you have to actually do that, you have to be the active participant in it. You know, it's more challenging. You got to learn some things about it. You can't just intuit it off the top of your head. You know, you got to kind of take the time and learn the thing. And some people are coming from those communities where they don't really have to learn anything, and because of that, they, you know, they're like, they want an engine where you just put an engine on a car, you have wheels in the car, obviously engine's automatically gonna connect to the wheels. Well, no, that's not this. You have to connect it. And they're like, well, my car's always spinning out. Well, what's your transmission look like? Oh, I need a transmission? Yeah, you need a transmission. Why are my wheels spinning? Well, do you have the right gearing, you know, for your transmission? My car is always spinning out. Well, do you have a stability system on there? Where's your center of gravity? Is it in the middle? Is it too far in the back? And they're like, yeah, it's all the way in the back. Well, that's why you're spinning out, you know? I wish I had one piece of ore to see what the... does anyone know for certain if it's $2 per piece of ore? Alright, I'll make a new thumbnail for this video. Yeah, it's good to get back in the career build series. I think this is going to be a lot of fun for me, actually going in and doing the... going in and actually doing some mining and stuff like that. That's the gameplay I like the most, is the you know, is the mining gameplay and kind of the industrial type stuff. That's what I like the most. Alright, there's the new thumbnail for the video. Oh, does it? Let's look. Yeah, it looks like the strong current, like you're saying. Yeah, because of the angle. Yeah. Yeah, $2 per coal. Yeah, that's what it looks like. See where our money's gonna be at. I forget what this train costs here. What's this here? I think the problem is the hospital's here. If we had stopped and picked this dude up, we could have dropped him off there. But I don't care too much about the missions. That's $5 grand. We got some good We got some good money off that. This is the underwater shark cage. We're getting these further missions because I have. If you didn't know this, if you have no clip on, the missions can spawn anywhere because essentially you can get anywhere. And so, you know, when you have that no clip deselected, they'll spawn closer to you until your difficulty rating goes up. You see, I don't like the fog. Fog just makes it so you can't see all that well in the game. It's not fun. So some benefits of kind of as we progress here. Definitely we'll be able to get the D6 out, which is my faster locomotive based off of Derail Valley. That way we'll be like I'll use this to shunt the cars together, and then we'll be able to use the D6 to get back and forth faster. We'll also be able to bring more cars, more coal cars. That'll be good. Let's see what else we'll be able to do. I'll make some more probably in the workshop episodes. I got a lot of work coming up here soon, and not a lot of days off. This was a good long stretch of days off for me. I have today and tomorrow off, and then I go back to work for 4 days. Then I have 2 off. Then I go back to work for 6 days. So it's kind of gross. I enjoy work, but it's a lot of not gonna be able to play much games in that time period. Try to see if I see any more presents. I want filthy money, so I can kind of progress this here. Let's see where this. I can't see the switch. Nick of time on that one. I thought I remembered it defaulted to the Arctic. I don't want that. I do have a track switcher in here, but I couldn't see it from in the cab, so I kind of rushed up and got that. Trying to think of what I want to do with that. I really like that seaplane I made. One of the reasons why I chose this base as my new starting base for the 26 career build series is it's larger, so I can build some bigger stuff right off the bat, because that seaplane was a little artificially small. I do like its size. I'll keep working on that. I'll try to knock that out, and then I'd like to build a bigger seaplane for more missions. But so I was kind of thinking, do I want to increase the size of that or not? And so I was kind of vacillating with that. And what I think I've decided is I'll finish that one up and use it, and then be able to come up with a new one later date. Eventually, maybe I'll get into Lua. It's hard for me to learn Lua. I'd have to probably use a bunch of AI bullshit to try to get some Lua screens going, but it'd be nice to make some of my own Lua screens. I'd like to get to the point where I don't use anybody else's anything. And the only thing I kind of still use is I use Basilicious's playing gauges and screens, rather. Like to kind of do all my own stuff would be nice. Grow my skills. Oh, is that what it is? They always default to the right? Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna... It's gonna be tough. Like, I'm gonna have to reverse engineer it. Some of the stuff. Like, I've learned some of it. I've made some of my own Lua screens. It's just like... Sitting down with somebody and learning it doesn't sound like a fun time to me. I appreciate it, though. I'll be sure to reach out to you if I have, like, some specific questions, but, you know... Like, maybe it would be fun to do a project where we just, like, do one gauge or something together and learn it. But I'll definitely reach out if I get to it. It's just, like... I still remember back in high school, like, I'd have my brother, like, help me with my, programming class, because I loathed programming. I hated it with a passion. And he ended up becoming a software engineer, so he enjoyed it. And I found it to be annoying. Like, some of it's interesting, but... And I can do some basic stuff, but... One build I would love to make for this series as like a big project. I would love to build a big Akranaplan that can hold a boat inside, a helicopter inside, or a VTOL, and that way the Akranaplan can kind of be a home ship Akranaplan. And that way, for example, like if we want to go out to, yeah, I know that, Rasmus. You know, if you know, like say I want to go to the Arctic, like we'd be going like 300 knots in the Akranaplan to the Arctic, you know. And then we could launch, you know, stop, launch a helicopter, send the Akranaplan on its way again, and go do a mission. 300 knots is probably too much. One thing I'd really like to see them add to the game is hydraulics, like actual hydraulics, because we have, I can simulate them like in the dump truck there that I had earlier in the stream. What it does essentially is it's really basic. You put the truck in neutral, and so in real life, a lot of dump trucks you have to do this where you don't have to put it in neutral, but the hydraulic pump is connected to the engine. And so the higher you get the RPM of the engine, the faster you're moving the hydraulic fluid. And the more quickly you're building up pressure, so you can lift the bed of the truck because you have to move that hydraulic fluid into the cylinders. And so what you normally would do is you put the truck in neutral and you're closing a valve that lets the oil go from the pump into the cylinder. And so you'd rev up the engine to get that oil in the cylinder faster. Stand by, I gotta do some switching here. I think we back onto this track. Yeah. And so you would put it neutral, step on the gas after you close, step on the accelerator after you close the cylinder, and it'll pump the hydraulic fluid in there. And so what I've done on some of my builds is it actually pumps water or diesel, and it builds up pressure using the pressure update. And so you actually have to hook a hose up to the trailer to get the oil to go in the trailer. And if you have a dump truck, you don't have to hook a hose up because you have an internal piping system. And so, yeah, I've done that before. So I'd like to add that to some more of my, to like the new dump truck I just built. And then like literally the brakes on this are pneumatic. What happens is when you move this throttle here, it's opening a valve that allows air pressure in, and that air pressure will go from the side that keeps the brakes off to the side that keeps the brakes on, and then the higher the pressure, the more brake application you're getting. So it literally reads the pressure and feeds that to the brakes. So the higher the pressure, the more the brakes. Less the pressure, the brakes come off. So it's kind of cool using the actual pressurization up there. That's why I get a little bit pissy and defensive when people are like, oh, they should just get rid of the pressurization up there. It's like, no, man, I understand you don't get it, you don't like it, but a lot of us are using it for things and are making cool stuff with the content that was added. Like, they shouldn't take it away. You should just learn the system, you know? But like, I would love to see them add hydraulics, for example. Like, I can simulate those hydraulics by the higher the pressure I have in water or diesel. I have that go to the piston to increase, for example, the bed raising on the truck. But there's a bunch of cool things they could do with hydraulics that would be fantastic addition to the game. Like, essentially what I would want them to do is you pump liquid through the, through essentially a kind of a modified impeller, and then it would give you RPS. And you could do things like, for example, hydrostatic drives. If you don't know what a hydrostatic drive is, that's what a lot of front end loaders and bulldozers and a lot of construction equipment use. They use it in skid steers. They use it in those zero-turn lawnmowers. And essentially what you're doing is you're pumping hydraulic fluid, and the hydraulic fluid is turning the wheels. And it allows you to almost instantaneously turn it the other way, because all you're really doing is moving a valve. And the fluid is only moving in one way out of the pump, but you're moving a valve, and it allows you to very quickly go forward and back. That's why with skid steers you can quickly move one set of wheels forward and back and do turns and everything else, because you can quickly change direction of that fluid. So you have a hand valve here. Let me see if I have this hooked up right. I forget how I have this set up, but all right. Let's go ahead and just start despawning stuff. All right, good. All right, great. Let's see where our fuel's at. 1,800 liters. Good. So we got a good bit of fuel left. I just want to go up in the mountain, make sure that shit didn't get screwed up in here. All right, good. So this is fine. Good, nice. So the only vehicle we have left is the front end loader. It's inside here. And we have 69 giggity $1,000. And so let's add it up. We didn't make a lot of money on coal. Coal, you have to do really big style. Let's see, 69, 252, and I think this is like maybe 42,000 at the most. So we made like 11,000. We didn't make a ton on coal. That's fine. That's not the point to me. It's more having fun. But this will be a cool base. We'll do some coal mining here. We'll get the coal down from here. This will be a lot of cool vehicles. For example, we can do some small stuff like the those underground mining equipment. Try to find the one I sent myself. Let me check my email real quick. Cat 992K. There's some bigger mining equipment I'd like to make and actually like do some big. Like here's a YouTube of it. So this is the Cat 992K. I'd like to make one of these. This will be bigger than the one I made. And this would be used for, say, for example, to go with my mining dump truck. And so like, let's look at some toys here real quick. Get over there eventually here. What the hell is that? So like this is a mining dump truck I built before. That's an old school one. I'm going to make something new and better that can go in the mine. But then there was the... They're all under Pat. Yeah, like I have my... I can't bring it up because it's too big, but I have my mining dump truck here. We have these I want to finish. The 60-40 I want to finish. We have the rope shovel. I have the rope shovel that can go up there. I don't have a spot on this island I can spawn that, so probably won't do that. But there's that cat that I just showed you, the 992. That's a bigger loader that can go with that dump truck. So we get into some bigger mining and then do bigger trains. I have this new dump truck I built. It can't really fit in the tunnel. So what I'm going to do is, this is kind of an open pit style dump truck. And what I'll do is I'll slide the cab forward, kind of like the ones that I showed you. That will slide forward and down, and then this will be shortened. And that will fit in the tunnel, and so it can go back and forth through the tunnel to bring ore down and put in the base, that coal put in the base, and then that coal can be sold on the train. Once we get some money, we'll be able to get that bigger train going and make some real money out of coal. As far as other mining I'd like to do, might be multiplayer, we'll see. But go up to the iron quarry. You can put some of the biggest stuff I have up there. And then load it on trains. But do some regular missions. We have this large size spawn here for ships, so we can put in, I can work on that Acranoplan at some point and get that going. We can put some pretty big land vehicles and planes up here and launch them out of Draymore, so that gives us some good flexibility. So I like starting here. It's going to be fun. The other thing we can do right away by having this as our home base, we can move cargo containers via truck, via rail, via ship from here up to Komodo. We also can sell fish at Komodo, so eventually what we're probably going to do next at some point is when I get the money, we're going to buy Komodo. And that's going to allow me to, for example, spawn a fishing boat, come out here, fish, crab, do all that, and then that's another money maker right there. Drop some crab pots, let them soak, go do something else, come back, sell them, drop them again, go do something else. So that'll be a lot of fun. But should be fun, this new career build series for 26. But hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you're new and you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Let me read this last chat from... I got a couple chats I don't want to leave hanging. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so Rasmus looks like... simulated hydraulic motors. That would be kind of cool. I could do that in the interim, but it would be really cool if the devs would add some sort of ability for us to make hydraulic motors. That'd be cool. But very cool. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next one.